name is Matt Mautel. Welcome to Android Application Development and this introductory unit. So what are our goals to get up and running here? First thing is that I want you to understand what makes mobile different, right? So why is developing a mobile app any different than a traditional one? All right, second, I want in particular to understand why Android is cool and what kind of things Android can do for you. Next, I'd like you to have the development environment all set up on your computer so you can get a Hello World app actually running on an Android device or an emulator. Next, I want you to be able to, based on what you know about Android, to actually start brainstorming ideas of apps that you could create. And finally, I want you to be able to explain what's expected of you in this class itself, just by reading over the syllabus. So first of all, why mobile and why Android in particular? Right? So that's what we're going to learn first here. The first thing we need to understand is that mobile apps really give us some unique opportunities for development. Right? So if we were to compare, say a phone or smartphone to a laptop, what are the differences? Right? So first of all, mobile devices are really small, so people usually have them with them. Right? So again, that gives you an opportunity that you wouldn't have with a laptop. Right? You can do stuff because the people have it with them. Second thing is they're usually connected to the internet somehow. Even if you're driving down the road or in a park across the street, you have access, right, to data. And the third thing is that you have sensors well beyond what we typically have in a laptop. Laptops may have a camera, like I'm using right now to record this video, but a phone is going to have much more, as we'll see in a minute here. The other thing is that everyone knows that these opportunities are there, right? So a few months ago, I looked at some statistics for Android, and you can see the links down at the bottom if you're interested. But at that point, there were 750 million activations of Android worldwide, and it was growing by another million per day. Huge, right? And beyond that, there were 1.5 billion downloads of apps every month. Just amazing, right? These numbers are kind of mind-boggling. The next thing is that you yourself should be motivated and ready to learn Android. So Android actually does, with those numbers, has the largest install base of all the big players, bigger than iOS, bigger than Windows Phone. Android has tons of features in its SDK. Actually, a lot of them, all the big players do, but we'll take a look at some of Android shortly. And then one thing that may be particularly important for you is that Android is Java-based, right? So really handy, especially for us at Rose-Hulman, where we get a lot of training in Java. Okay, so what kind of things can we do with Android, right? So let's take just an app running on our phone right here. The first thing that we're going to be able to do is to program up the UI, right? So how do we interact with it via buttons, little drop-down menus, pop-up dialogues? How do we make these things appear? We'll be starting those right as early as the first week in the course. After that, we're going to take a look at what we call the application lifecycle and different activities or screens in our app and how they communicate back and forth with each other, and how we can even launch system activities, right, using intents. The third thing is multimedia. Very cool stuff here. We're not going to be covering a lot of it in great detail or anything, but for anyone who's very interested in doing 2 or 3D graphics, some audio-visual stuff, lots of opportunities for it, and Android supports a lot. The next thing has to do with storage, right? So how do we get our data to persist after we stop running our app, right? So you could use files, pretty straightforward. We're going to be focusing on using SQLite, which is sort of a full-fledged database, right? All right, so you might wonder, well, how do we get information into our phone? Right, so certainly we can get input from the user just beyond buttons and everything. We can use an on-screen keyboard, various kinds of gestures, swipes from the side, and so on. We can also get information from various sensors, not only just location data from GPS, but also from gyros and accelerometers, right, actually detecting more precisely the position of the phone, even thermometers that are on some phones. Phones, it turns out, other than output, can't do that much. But you could turn on the flash in your camera. You could vibrate the system vibrator. Not too much more. So this is all within your app itself. What else can you do, right? So even beyond the app, thinking more about the home screen, So you could make notifications, right? So when something happened, maybe your app could suddenly wake up and sort of come to life, right? If a certain system event happened. Or maybe you can make a little widget that lives on the home screen sort of separately from the app. So Android also allows different devices to talk to each other, right? So we can do peer-to-peer, either via Android Beam, which is near-field communication, or you can do Bluetooth communication. Very cool stuff. What we're going to do instead is actually go in some pretty good depth towards the end of the course on cloud services and specifically Google endpoints, which is going to enable us to be able to store data up in the cloud, and actually data that's going to be accessible from various devices, and that you could even send information up the cloud and have it printed, right? So cloud services also include things like Google Maps, which some of you may want to deal with for your learn about for your project. I have some materials there, but not core like some of the other things. All right, so how are we going to get there? I'd encourage you, if you didn't come to the face-to-face meeting, I know some of you have signed up more recently, to go ahead to the syllabus and read what's going on there. These links, if you're watching the video, you're not going to be able to click on this link here, but they are available on the main web page. Let me bring that up. So if you can pick up the URL up top here. So introduction to Android, the page not found. Yeah, of course, that's because this is this video that I'm recording right now. So hopefully you won't get a page not found when you get there, because this video would already be posted. Next down is going to be the syllabus itself. So there's the link there that you just saw, and that'll go right to the syllabus. We go to the next page. There's a link to some installation and the Hello World right on Android's developer site. Keep going. We have a demo app that I put together, a pretty simple one here. We'll come back to that in a second. And finally, I'm going to ask you some questions about these things. So basically, mostly multiple choice questions, so that you can get some feedback to see how you understood the unit. All right. One thing that I think is important in the beginning is just for you to get a feel for how do you do app development in general. So what I'm going to be doing on that first video that we saw there was going to be to actually, in about 12 minutes or so, create an app totally from scratch. You're not going to type it in. You're just going to kind of sit back and relax and watch what's going on. Interesting app here that's going to count how many cups of coffee, all right, that you drink. All right, and that's about it for this first video. So again, in summary, many features in Android to make some pretty amazing apps. And by the time that you've gone through all these different things here, you definitely should be ready to start brainstorming, designing, and even creating your own apps. All right, so have a great day.